welcome to another episode of the Adrienne Ross Show, where sports and culture connect. And yes, I am back home, not in a hotel. I got home early evening, and I'm so thankful to all of you for your kind words, for your prayers, for my family, for myself, and I ask that you continue to pray for my family. Now, although I am back home, contrary to what it looks like, I'm not actually in my office. I'm using a green screen because I don't feel like going to my office right now. So it probably sounds a little bit different in the living room and looks a little bit different because this is really just a picture of my office behind me. Technology is amazing. But yeah, after all the time on the road and all that, I'm just not feeling like being in that office. So I'm chilling right here. And I'm appreciative that you're chilling with me. I'm going to take you over to Essentially Sports. Are you familiar with that outlet? I'm going to tell you how Essentially Sports identifies itself. I'm going to read the little blurb. And then I'm going to talk about Asia Wilson and her interview on Kylie Kelsey's podcast. And then you'll figure out why I'm reading about Essentially Sports first. This is what you see when you scroll down to the bottom of Essentially Sports. I know it's hard to read because of the black background, but I'm going to read it for you. Over here, it says Essentially Sports, the fan's perspective. Essentially Sports is the home for the underserved fan, delivering storytelling that goes beyond the headlines. As a media platform, we combine deep audience insights with cultural trends to meet fandom where it lives and where it goes next. Founded in 2014, Essentially Sports now engages with an audience of over 30 million plus American sports fans on its website and 1 million plus readers on its newsletters daily. It's a whole lot of eyeballs on Essentially Sports work. And remember, Essentially Sports says that the storytelling goes beyond headlines. Interesting. So now we're going to scroll up to the headline I'm going to highlight in this video. And the headline says, not Caitlin Clark, but Asia Wilson declares this WNBA star her toughest matchup. So since we just read that Essentially Sports goes beyond headlines, we have to look at the article, right? So this headline lets us know that Asia Wilson declares some WNBA star her toughest matchup, but Essentially Sports wants to start us off by understanding that it's not Caitlin Clark, which is interesting that it would say that, because remember, Essentially Sports is covering sports for all these millions of people. All right, I'll bring it together in a moment. It says, after Asia Wilson secured her 4th MVP this past season, it felt almost obvious to call her the best player in the league. But then she appeared on Kylie Kelsey's Not Gonna Lie podcast and surprised everyone by naming the one player even she has a hard time defending. She surprised everyone by the one player even she has a hard time defending. You tell me whether or not you're surprised, because I'm going to show you another outlet that says there's no surprise at all. Obviously, Essentially Sports is trying to say that it's surprising that the one player she named, back to the headline here, was not Caitlin Clark. But there's a huge problem with that premise by Essentially Sports. And then it says, the reigning MVP revealed. So instead of just reading to you what the reigning MVP Asia Wilson said, we're going to go over to Kylie's podcast and I'll let you watch Asia tell us herself.
Career. Yeah. You just won Defensive Player of the Year.
Yes.
So I think it's safe to say you can probably defend anyone, but who would you say is the toughest player to go up against?
Ooh, toughest player to go up against? I'm going to always say Brianna Stewart. I'm always say Stewie, only because she's a 3-level scorer. And the way that she plays the game is so tough to read because she's that skillful. And so sometimes when I'm thinking about just how to guard her, how to make it hard for her, because some players are like, okay, force it to their bad hand. You can live with it. But Stewie is completely different. Like, you really have to be able to know how and when she's going to score the basketball. And that's super, super tough.
So you heard that, right? She was asked about being Defensive Player of the Year and who is a tough player to guard. And she told us Brianna Stewart and explained why. Now, let's go back to Essentially Sports. So back here is where they quote A'ja Wilson talking about going up against Brianna Stewart. I just played that for you. And then here's the paragraph from Essentially Sports. Indeed, the answer was not Caitlin Clark or a top young player, but the veteran forward, meaning Brianna Stewart, who has had multiple high-profile matchups with and against Wilson. So this whole article, this whole title about not Caitlin Clark, but A'ja Wilson declares this WNBA star, me and Brianna Stewart, toughest matchup. And then down here, oh, indeed, the answer was not Caitlin Clark. And that's supposed to be so surprising because, as we remember in the first paragraph, it says that she surprised everyone by naming the one player even she has a hard time defending. Now, over here on High Post Hoops, the headline is one opponent challenges A'ja Wilson more than anyone else in the WNBA. Now, unlike Essentially Sports that said that it surprised everyone that she mentioned Brianna Stewart, not High Post Hoops. High Post Hoops says here in this paragraph, when Wilson appeared on Kylie Kelsey's podcast, she revealed who she thinks is the toughest player to go up against. And her response really isn't that surprising. And then it goes on to say Brianna Stewart. So Essentially Sports, doing sports content for millions of people. Oh, it's so surprising that she picked Brianna Stewart and didn't pick Caitlin Clark. Over here, they didn't try to use Caitlin Clark's name in it. They just said it's not surprising at all. This is the interesting thing. So you can consider this a basic basketball lesson if you want. Okay, I just got a news bulletin for Essentially Sports, delivering sports to all these millions of people. They tell us at the bottom there of the page, A'ja Wilson is a big. Caitlin Clark is a guard. Why are you surprised that she did not mention Caitlin Clark as one of the toughest players to defend? She ain't defending Caitlin Clark. So I expect an outlet covering sports for all these millions of people and going beyond headlines to know that she was not going to mention Caitlin Clark because she's not guarding Caitlin Clark. That's just basketball 101. So again, what's going on? What is Essentially Sports doing? It's so interesting to me. And I don't know if this is true of Essentially Sports because I just don't know. But a lot of people, outlets, they try to downplay Caitlin Clark. They try to pretend that she's really not that talented, that she's in over her head. The stuff that's out there is just unbelievable. And yet, every time they mention a great player, they want to mention Caitlin Clark's name as well when they can try to compare the two. In one breath, Caitlin's not all that, and you want to downplay her. In the other breath, you're constantly making her the standard that everyone else is measured by. You're constantly want to make not Caitlin Clark because Caitlin Clark is the standard. And so it's so surprising that A'ja Wilson didn't mention Caitlin Clark when everybody who knows basketball, like Essentially Sports, covering basketball for millions of people every day, they understand, I hope, that she's not guarding Caitlin Clark. But Caitlin is the name to put in the headline, although they say they go beyond headlines. And they say it's surprising. Obviously, Asia Wilson is a big. Breanna Stewart is a big. The two of them will be going up against each other. So whatever Essentially Sports was trying to do there, there's no disrespect there to Caitlin Clark by not mentioning her, Essentially Sports. There's no disrespect there. There's no surprise there. It's just basic basketball that she's not guarding Caitlin Clark, right? But the headline and the little thing there and the little blurb there, whatever it is, kind of leads people to go, oh, you know, that's right. She didn't say Caitlin Clark. Ain't nobody scared of Caitlin Clark. She ain't guarding Caitlin Clark. Essentially Sports. And you know that. And you know that. Anybody used to do that back in the day? And you know that. Anyway, I just wanted to point it out, lest Essentially Sports leads astray some of the millions of people following their basketball expertise. Somebody who's just learning the sport, because there are people who are learning the sport. So let's just correct the record. It's not surprising. It's just basic. Anyway, just thought I'd share that little tidbit. She wouldn't have mentioned Caitlin because Caitlin is not being defended by said MVP. I'll catch you next time, God willing. God bless you abundantly.